Well, folks, looks like we did it again. We stirred up another internet controversy with our dog training.
Sir, would you come over here?
Yeah. We are talking about taking my dog Thanos, a service dog, to Disney World and on an airliner where we actually got barred from going on the plane because, quote, Thanos doesn't look like a service dog.
We're trying to figure out about your service animal, proper paperwork.
His face is gigantic.
So it's because of the way he looks.
I think the stereotype of that type of
Right. And so we've had folks coming out of the woodwork with their strong opinions and zero facts, and they are coming out swinging. So in this video, we're gonna break down for you the top 10 service dog myths that are out there, things people think are facts, but are actually made up, misunderstood, or just flat out wrong. And we're not gonna be pulling this stuff out of our ass, off of a Reddit thread or some TikTok rant, and we're definitely not gonna be passing around what's going on in those angry little Facebook groups as if they are the truth, because everything we're covering in this video comes straight from the one and only source, the official ADA website. So you're gonna be getting the real deal. These are the real rules, the real rights, and the real responsibilities of owning, training, managing, interacting, and having a service dog. And trust me, you're gonna wanna stick around for myth number 10, where we are gonna address this holier than thou attitude coming from certain self-proclaimed gatekeepers in the service dog world and how they're actually hurting the very community they claim to represent. So let's dive in and get this show started. Starting out with myth number 1, service dogs must be registered, licensed, or certified with a government agency. Survey says, this is one of the most common myths out there, and it's completely false. In the United States, there is no official government registry or certification required for service dogs. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. There is no such thing as an official government-issued service dog ID, license, or registry. You are not legally required to register your service dog anywhere. Not federal, not state, not local, not with your grandma. If someone asks you for a registration certificate or ID to prove your dog is a service dog, they're either misinformed or trying to scam you. There are tons of websites out there selling, quote, official service dog certificates, IDs, vests, patches, you name it. Those are money grabs. They're not legally required and don't prove anything under the ADA. Yeah, they'll register you on some freaking form that they're gonna shove into a drawer in their office. It's a registration of nothing, but they use fancy names and websites like .org or like US Service Dog Specialty. It's all fake. The only thing that matters under federal law is whether your dog is individually trained to perform tasks related to your disability. Not paperwork, not a badge, not a certificate, just task-trained behavior that mitigates a real disability. And let's be honest, if registration were required, there'd be a government database and a standard process, but there isn't because that's not how the ADA is written. So next time someone says you have to register your service dog, you can confidently say, that's not true, and it's not the law, and you're an asshole.
Who is he? He's an asshole, sir.
Myth number 2, service dogs must wear a service dog vest and or carry an ID badge identifying them as a service dog. This is another myth that refuses to die, and it's just flat out wrong. The ADA does not require service dogs to wear a vest, patch, harness, ID badge, first aid kit, defibrillator, or a little pouch to carry your erectile dysfunction medication in case you get lucky at the bar because you got a cute little service dog next to you. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Your dog could be what we refer to as naked, no vest, no gear, nothing. A leash and collar will do you. And if it's a task-trained service dog, it's still protected under federal law. The reason people believe this myth is because of how many fake service dog vests and ID kits are being sold online. You can buy them on Amazon, eBay, random scammy websites, but none of that makes your dog a service dog, and none of that is required by law. Some handlers choose to have their dogs wear gear to avoid unnecessary confrontation, and I can totally get behind that. I understand why they do that, but it's a personal choice, not a legal obligation. If a business tells you your dog isn't a service dog because it's not wearing a vest, they're violating ADA guidelines and you can sue the shit out of them. And here's the irony. Some of the best trained legitimate service dogs don't wear anything at all, while some of the worst behaved fake service dogs are covered in vests, patches, badges, you name it.
Good girl. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a service dog. It is? Oh.
Behavior and training are what define a service dog, not how they're dressed. Have you been denied access because your fake service dog vest didn't come with real training? Are you being harassed by the gatekeepers of the service dog community? Are you just simply embarrassed? You may be entitled to dignity. At Thanos and Thanos Attorneys at Paw, we specialize in cleaning up your public image by actually training your dog. Our team of elite trainers is on call nationwide. All trainers are not created equal. Some bark, we bite. Subscribe to learn your legal options and consult our next video before you get banned from your local Target again. Thanos and Thanos for the dogs. Myth number 3, businesses can ask you questions about your service dog or ask that your service dog be removed. So yes, this one is actually true, but under certain conditions, businesses can absolutely ask questions, and yes, under the right circumstances, they can ask your service dog to leave. But let's break it down because there's a lot of confusion here and a lot of folks quoting rules that just don't exist. What they can ask. Under the ADA, businesses are absolutely legally allowed to ask 2 specific questions. Is this a service dog required because of a disability? And what task has the dog been trained to perform? That's it. That's the full list. They can't ask you what your disability is. They can't demand medical documents, and they absolutely cannot ask you to demonstrate the task. Like, for instance, if your dog's trained to alert for seizures, what do they expect you to do? Drop on the floor, flop around like a fish, and see what your dog does?
Do it!
Absolutely not. Let's be real here. The law protects your privacy. A verbal answer that describes the task is all that's required. When they can ask you to remove your dog, here's the part that is true and surprises some people. A business can actually ask your service dog to leave if it's out of control and you're not taking action to manage it, it's not housebroken, if it's destroying property, or it's creating a legitimate safety risk to you and other people in the business, such as barking at customers, lunging at other dogs, or leaving itself indoors. All of these are valid reasons a business can say, hey, you need to take the dog outside, and they are completely covered. And just to be clear, if they ask the dog to leave, they still have to allow you as a human access to their business or service, but the dog has to stay outside. It's not about discrimination, it's about control, safety, and behavior. So yeah, businesses can ask a couple of basic questions, and if your dog's acting like a complete freaking clown, they can ask you to take it out. But if your dog is legit trained and under control, then you're good to go. Service dog myth number 4, an ESA or emotional support animal is not the same as a service dog. True. This one needs to be said loud and clear. An emotional support animal is not a service dog. Not under federal law, not under the ADA, not even close. An ESA provides comfort just by being there.
You see, petting the dog is one of the most relaxing things you can possibly do.
That's it. No training required. No task performance. Just emotional support through their presence, which is awesome. But a service dog, on the other hand, must be individually trained to do specific tasks that mitigate a person's disability. So, for instance, PTSD or psychiatric disabilities, those tasks might include providing deep pressure therapy during panic attacks to help ground the handler, entering a room first to perform a safety check for someone with PTSD or trauma, creating a physical barrier in public spaces to reduce anxiety in crowds, and other task train examples include guiding the blind, alerting before a seizure, retrieving medication, opening doors, hitting switches, or bracing for mobility, and the list literally goes on and on and on. But here's the legal guidelines. Comfort, companionship, or emotional support are not considered tasks under the ADA. So no, your anxious little chihuahua that cuddles you when you're sad doesn't qualify as a service dog just because you slapped a vest on it and bought an online certificate for $39.99. ESAs do have some limited protections, mainly in housing under the Fair Housing Act, but even that is changing fast, and many airlines have completely removed ESA access due to abuse. You know what I'm talking about. Look, just because your dog calms you down during Netflix doesn't mean it has legal access to Target. There's a big difference between comfort and task trained, and the law makes that very clear. Service dog myth number 5. Only certain breeds can be service dogs. False. A lot of people think only specific breeds like Labs, Golden Retrievers, German Shepherds can be service dogs. That's just not true. The ADA does not restrict service dog eligibility by breed. It simply says the dog must be individually trained to perform tasks related to a disability. That means a Great Dane, a Poodle, a Doberman, or even a mutt from the shelter all can be service dogs if they're trained properly. You can even have a freaking mini horse as your service animal on a plane. In fact, if your significant other self-identifies as a furry or a dog or whatever, you might even be able to get them on the plane for free. Seriously, all jokes aside, it's about temperament, stability, trainability, and task performance, not bloodlines or looks. Now, let me give you a real-world example. We recently had an issue where my service dog Thanos was barred from boarding a plane, only temporarily. Not because of behavior or lack of documentation, but simply due to the type of dog he is and, quote, how he looks. The airline staff didn't reference any ADA guidelines. They just made a judgment call based on appearance, and honestly, I don't blame them. It's not right, it's not legal, but I get it, because a lot of y'all have some out-of-control dogs out there. But situations like that are exactly why these myths need to be addressed, because even professionals sometimes get it wrong, and it creates real problems for legitimate handlers. Breed-specific bans by cities, landlords, and yes, even airlines do not override federal service dog protections. If the dog is task-trained and under control, it is protected, period. Of course, certain breeds are more commonly used because of the size, intelligence, and drive, but that's based on practicality, not legal requirements. So, when someone says, that dog can't be a service dog, it's a you can confidently say, if it's trained to do the job, then you can go yourself. Service dog myth number 6. Service dogs are only for visible disabilities. False. A lot of people assume service dogs are only for folks who are blind or in a wheelchair. That's outdated and flat out wrong. The ADA clearly states a disability does not have to be visible. Service dogs assist with a wide range of invisible disabilities, including PTSD, severe anxiety, epilepsy, diabetes, autism, and so much more. Just because someone looks fine doesn't mean they don't need real assistance. And yes, we've actually had people email us directly demanding that I disclose my disability to prove to them why I have a service dog. That's not just inappropriate, it's actually illegal under the ADA, which protects medical privacy for a reason. You're not entitled to know someone's medical history just because you want to know or because they have a service dog with them. Asking what's wrong with you or demanding that they prove their disability isn't just rude, it's flat out wrong. The dog isn't there to satisfy your curiosity or comfort. It's there to do a job that helps someone live their life. So here's the bottom line. If a dog is doing legitimate trained work for someone's disability, it doesn't matter if you can see that disability or not. Service dog myth number 7. You must use a professional trainer to have a legitimate service dog. False. You're absolutely allowed to train your own service dog. A lot of people think you have to hire a professional trainer or go through some expensive certification program. That's simply not the case. Under the ADA, there is no requirement that a service dog be professionally trained. The law allows owners to train their own dogs from start to finish. What matters is the result. Now, the dog must be 1. Individually trained to perform specific tasks that help with a disability. Number 2, under control in public. And number 3, housebroken. And that's it. The law doesn't care who did the training, it only cares whether the dog can reliably perform its job. Now, let's be real, just because you can train your own service dog doesn't mean it's easy. It takes time, consistency, and real skill. For many people, working with a professional absolutely helps, but it's not required. And that's exactly why we built DIYK9.com, where we teach everyday dog owners just like yourself and professional dog trainers how to train these types of dogs to the highest level using proven real-world systems that actually work. So, yes, you can train your own service dog, and we can even show you how to do it the right way. But here's the bottom line. There is no special license, no paperwork, no company stamp required. Just results, reliability, and proper task training. Service dog myth number 8. Service dogs can't be protection dogs or have a bite training or bite history.
Super wrong.
Not only is this false, this myth has absolutely exploded in our comment section and DMs. I can't tell you how many people swore up and down that Thanos isn't a service dog because he's a protection dog. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of messages, all saying the same thing and all completely wrong. The truth is a dog can be trained in protection and be a legitimate service dog. People confuse bite capability with aggression, but a well-trained protection dog is stable, neutral, and predictable. It knows when to turn it on and when to stay calm. Police canines are a perfect example. Back when I used to train police dogs, not only did we train them to bite on command, but also how to be calm and under control with demos at schools around young children, walk through crowds, live around families, and not bite your backups. Protection training is not about aggression. It's about control, confidence, and composure under pressure. In fact, many protection trained dogs are more stable than the average pet dog because they've been exposed to stress, conflict, and pressure, and more importantly, taught how to stay clear-headed through it all. And here's the part most people miss. Some of those same protection dog skills like crowd control, spatial awareness, room clearing, even barking can directly support task work for PTSD, trauma survivors, and those with high threat perception. So, no. Having protection training doesn't make a dog unqualified. If anything, it makes the right dog even more effective in real-world service scenarios. And since it keeps coming up, let's talk about bite history. Thanos has no bite history. Biting equipment in a controlled environment is not a documented dog bite. If that was the case, he'd have thousands of bites, but it's just simply not true. And to say that any dog with a bite history can't be rehabilitated and turned into a successful service dog is ignorant, defeatist, and completely out of touch with what dogs are capable of when given the right leadership and training. So, to all of you who sprained your little thumbs hammering out those comments, whenever your doctor clears you to remove the cast from your hands and you've regained full use of your thumbs, you can email your apologies to info@DIYK9.com. We'll see you there. Service dog myth number 9. Service dogs aren't robots. They're allowed to be dogs too. True. Some people seem to think that if a dog is a service dog, it has to be locked into work mode 24/7, 365. No play, no naps, no fun, just pure robot behavior. But let me be clear, service dogs are dogs, not machines. Yes, they're trained, yes, they're reliable, but they still need time to unwind, run around, and just be a dog. Expecting a service dog to be on every second of every day is unrealistic and honestly kind of ridiculous. Even paramedics and pilots and police officers, military personnel need breaks, so why shouldn't a dog? A well-trained service dog knows when it's time to work and when it's time to chill. That's part of the training. We actually had someone comment that because Thanos stopped to scratch an itch for about 2 seconds, that meant he had, quote, come off task and was no longer a real service dog. Mind you, this was after he'd been on point, under control, and holding commands for nearly 10 hours straight. Thanos, here, come on. You got to itch. Apparently, if your dog pauses to scratch, it's time to burn the service dog vest and start over, because obviously real service dogs don't itch. They just suffer in silence like mythical creatures. That's the kind of nonsense people throw around when they have zero understanding of training or dogs in general. So some of the best service dogs you'll ever see are the same dogs that chase a ball, wrestle in the backyard, snore upside down on the couch, and lick their balls. And if someone sees a service dog playing or relaxing and says, "That must not be a real service dog," that just tells you they've never actually worked with real dogs in the real world. Being balanced is part of being reliable. You don't want a dog that's burnt out or anxious because it was never allowed to just be a dog. Bottom line, the goal isn't to create a lifeless obedience machine. It's to build a dog that can handle real world pressure and still sleep soundly at your feet when the job's all done. Service dog myth number 10. Once you get a service dog, your new job is to be the internet's official service dog gatekeeper.
Super wrong.
This one might ruffle some feathers, folks, and if it does, it probably applies. Just because you have a service dog doesn't give you permission to be rude, entitled, or treat everyone else like garbage. Having a disability doesn't automatically make you a good person, and owning a service dog doesn't put you above common courtesy or make you better than any other person that owns a dog. Unfortunately, there's a small but loud corner of the service dog world that acts like it's their mission to gatekeep, attack, and police everyone who doesn't do things exactly their way, and that you, as an everyday dog owner, have zero rights to take your well-trained dog out in public anywhere for fear that it may affect their service dog. I don't know about you, but when I take Thanos out in public, I could care less how other dogs act because he is completely unaffected. If your service dog can't handle the presence of another dog, he might need some more training. Now, to be clear, I am not saying that anybody and everyone should just take their out-of-control asshole dog into all public spaces. Hell no. I've been doing this for a very long time. I am one of the foremost people on the internet that does nothing but encourage people all over the world to train their dogs to be the best that they can be. Now, keep this in mind. There are those people out there who've been blowing up our inbox with demands like, "What's your disability? Where's your paperwork? Your dog can't be a service dog. You're not disabled enough," and so on and so forth. It's really disgusting. The irony, the same people in these groups demanding privacy and respect for their situation are the first to try and violate someone else's, namely mine. The service dog community is supposed to be about support, education, and raising the bar, not attacking anyone who doesn't fit your personal mold. Bottom line, having a service dog doesn't make you special. What makes you stand out is how you carry yourself. And if you spend your time harassing others instead of training your dog or helping people, maybe it's time to take off the vest and look in the mirror. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to stay focused on the mission at hand, helping dog owners all over the world train their dogs to be the best that they can be, regardless of age, breed, behavior issue, whether they have a disability, a certification, or anyone's approval, whether they're part of your weird little service dog cult or they've never even heard of the ADA. We're talking about real people who just want solid training, clear results, and a better relationship with their dog so that if they want to take it places, they can do so lawfully and legally. And truthfully, most of them end up with dogs that outperform a lot of the so-called task-trained dogs that these self-appointed gatekeepers are out here defending. I'm talking about better obedience, better temperament, more composure, and more public reliability. Meanwhile, some of you are out here terrified that your service dog might see another dog in public and completely forget what its job is, and you got your tripod set up perfectly with the camera to capture when you have that fake breakdown session and fake tears of flow, and that's not elite training. That's barely hanging on. It's embarrassing. It's telling. It's sad. And I'm genuinely sorry that this is how some of you choose to spend your time, but here's the truth. There are better things to do than stalk comment sections and try to call out every little flaw, especially when you're wrong most of the time. Take a breath, baby. Pet your dog. Smoke some of that medical marijuana that's probably prescribed to you. And go live your best life. And if you actually want to train a solid, reliable, high-level dog, whether it's a service dog, a protection dog, a pet dog, or even a police canine, we got you covered. At DIYcanine.com and American Standard Dog Training, we offer both online courses and in-person board and train programs. And we're going to show you exactly how to train your pet dog, your police dog, your future service dog to a level that will outperform every other dog in your entire neighborhood or town. 100% guaranteed. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.